Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is just a fun Bravo TV catch up, we'll be talking about The Valley. Are you watching? Are you not? Vanderpump Rules. We're even going to get into Potomac and also some Summer House. Are you guys watching Summer House this season? So, before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So, with that, let me know in the chat box what you want to talk about first. Do you want to talk about Summer House, Vanderpump Rules, Real Housewives of Potomac, or The Valley? What do you want me to cover first? Whoever puts it in the chat box first, that is what we shall cover. So let me know, you guys, and let me know how you're doing. Be sure to, say hi in the chat box. Where are you listening from? What are your thoughts on everything going on in pop culture? I know there's been raids and a lot of crazy stuff. So just put it down below on what you guys are watching and what you're thinking in pop culture. Kate Middleton, what are your thoughts on her? Hey, Deb. Deb says The Valley. Hey, sweetheart. All right, so that's what we will start with. We are going to start with The Valley. So, in all transparency, the first episode I thought of The Valley, I actually thought it was really good. And I felt guilty for even watching, and I felt guilty for thinking it was good because we know like Jackson, Kristen, and Brittany have all been exposed for saying very horrible, racist things and also doing very horrible and racist things, which is why all three of them got fired from Vanderpump Rules in the first place. So I'm going to be honest in saying that I felt very guilty watching because I definitely did not want to support them, but I did end up watching. And I thought the first episode was pretty good. I thought it was funny. I thought it was engaging. I thought, wow, it's a lot different than what I thought it was going to be because the people that were introduced, they were kind of fun, a different season of life, and they were all pretty cool and interesting people. Now, I'm going to do a deep dive into all of the couples and what I think is going on. But the second episode, though, hot, trash, dumpster, fire. Hot, trash, dumpster, fire. When I say trash, I'm not calling any person trash, not in a derogatory way. I just mean it's like a dumpster, trash, fire, okay? To me, Brittany is just as evil as Jax. And we're going to get into it. Let's get into it. Let me go through each person. So, Luke and Kristen. And I'm going to break down what I think about all of that, okay? Luke, I'm going to be honest with you. He gives me, and I don't want to get my YouTube docs, but I'm just going to be honest. He gives me serial killer vibes. Like Luke, like there is a ticky boom boom in him where I feel like he has like dead bodies in his basement or something. Like there's something fundamentally off with Luke. He just gives me creepy guy who lives in like Colorado or Utah, wherever the hell he lives, on a farm. Like I just feel there's something inherently creepy about him. Jax, like him or not, he reads people for filth. He reads people for filth. And he reads Luke for filth as well. I do think there's something ticky boom, something really off from Luke. Now, Kristen, she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs too, but in a different way. I'm going to compartmentalize the racism with Faith. I know it's not right, but in order to talk about it, I have to just put that in a little bucket. Kristen, I think, is very insecure, very looking for validation, looking for love, just kind of like that type of lost forever girl. You know what I mean? She seems very sad, very desperate, very needy energy, very, very lost girl energy to me. Now, the whole storyline of Kristen and Luke trying to have a baby, do we think that's true or do we think that's just for a storyline? Either way, I think it's absolutely ridiculous and a hot mess of a storyline. Number one, Kristen, you met this guy, you banged him in the bushes. literally 2 days after the guy you were dating, Alex, kicked you out of the house you were sharing, made you sell your house, and then now you're living in an apartment somewhere. You know what I mean? So that to me is absolutely crazy and bonkers. She should have taken some time to heal, get herself together, and then move on in a proper way rather than just going, to the next guy and being like, let's have a baby. I get it. In our society, there's this fake, false, toxic pressure for women. Oh my gosh, you're 35 without a kid. You're 40 without a kid. We're 41. Whoa, you'll never have, like, it's so ridiculous, especially in 2024. Like, stop it. So if this narrative is true, or this storyline of her wanting a child is true, it's harmful. It's harmful to other women her age who may feel similar to her, watching her do a very destructive thing, because she's not wanting to have a child because she wants to do what's in the best interest for the actual child, which honestly, if you're going to do it the way Kristen is, you might as well do what Lala is doing and get a sperm donor and just have the child on your own, rather than having a child with this person who you're in a fake relationship with. I think they're in some type of situationship. They made it very clear that Luke was only living in LA for filming. He said 99.9% of his life is in Utah, Colorado, Iowa, Idaho, wherever the hell he's from. So he's clearly just in LA for filming. And this is the person you want to bring a life into the world with? It's not cute. It's not funny. It's a hot, hot mess. And it's sending the wrong message to other women who probably feel that same societal and personal pressure, that if you're not by a certain age, if you don't have a kid, if you don't have a man, somehow you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're behind, there's something wrong with you, which totally is garbage. I don't care how old you are. You don't have to have a child to validate who you are. I don't care how old you are. You don't have to have a man or a woman to validate who you are. So get that garbage out of your mind. So I think that's a very dangerous narrative that they're playing with. There's something really off with Luke. To me, he just seems like, I don't know, there's something a little wackadoodle going on there. And Kristen, I do think Kristen is doing the best she can. Like, I do think that she's in therapy or going to therapy. She's trying to get her life back in order, but this is the wrong road. Wrong road. Now, when it comes to Jackson Brittany, this is the thing with Jackson Brittany that gets me. The reason why I said Brittany is just as evil as Jax is, number one, she pretends to be like, oh, just rotten hell, and we want grandma's beer and butter and cheese. To me, it's so fake. And you can even see the cracks starting to show with her co-stars. Like, the other women on the show were like, yeah, and Brittany was just like making excuses for Jax. Like, that's kind of whack too. Where it's like, she makes all these excuses for Jack. People just say, oh, Brittany's an angel for putting up with him. That's also a very dangerous narrative. Women are not angels for tolerating abusive men. They're victims. If someone was like, oh, Candy, you're an angel for putting up with a guy who cheats on you, who calls you fat, who disrespects you. You're an angel for putting up with him. Why are they selling this narrative that Brittany is some angel because she lets a man play her and disrespect her every single day? That's not an angel. That's a doormat. That's low self-esteem. That is toxic, and that's unhealthy. That's not an angel. That's also a very toxic narrative where it's like, oh, you are allowing someone to disrespect you publicly. That makes you an angel because you take them back. Another issue I have with Brittany is she weaponizes her religion. It's like where they stand, look, God said forgive, so I'm going to forgive them. Well, no. Yes, you forgive, but that doesn't mean you allow somebody back in your life. That's another storyline narrative that I don't like about these two. But the reason why I think Brittany is just as evil as Jax is because in the second episode, I don't care who you are, Jax was dead wrong for inviting Alex to boys' night, knowing that Luke was going to be there, knowing what happened between Alex and Kristen. Jax, we all know he's been evil, but but I'm only going to talk about his evilness for the Valley, okay? Because that's what we're talking about right now. He is evil, diabolical, and super, super scary. And this show is a dumpster trash fire. Every word out of his mouth is Kristen's crazy, this, that, and a third. He's bad-mouthing her to the ex. He's bad-mouthing her to her new boyfriend. He's bad-mouthing her to the entire group. It's really sick. Like, it's super sick to watch. And, like, it's not funny and it's not entertaining. Like, to be honest, the first episode I was into, the second episode, I was like, y'all are evil. It was just too calculated. And I don't know, maybe it's just my tolerance level, but I was like, I don't want to watch this crap, of you just going around maligning this girl. Oh, you called her washed up. You called her this. And Kristen sleeps with every single friend I have. She slept with him. I wouldn't have any friends. And like bringing Alex there and like trash talking her. It was just so nasty and disgusting. And I'm not a Kristen fan by any means. But just like humanity, just like common decency, I was like, this isn't entertainment. This is just trash and a dumpster fire. But the way Brittany was just as evil was, so then they're having the girls' night, right? And Brittany obviously very scripted and planned. Brittany brings up the fact that Alex is going to be there to Kristen. I don't think Kristen knew, but obviously Brittany bringing it up to Kristen was scripted and planned by Jackson Production. Because that's another thing. The work is showing. It's so produced, it's not even funny. But I actually think Kristen had every right to be pissed off. I would be pissed off. Why are you inviting a man who told me I was washed up, who broke up with me, who made me sell my house? I move in with him, and then he kicks me out the moment I get fired. And then he talks trash about me. I wouldn't want you to invite him to be hanging out with like my new group of friends on my new show. Oh, hell no. And for Brittany to then, and they left it on that cliffhanger because she's defending Jax, to throw something in Kristen's face. She reveals something Kristen says about one of the other husbands of the group. And being like, well, Kristen, you're a pot stirrer, you're this, you're that. Excuse me? Like, we were just talking about apples, and now you're talking about oranges because you don't want to admit the fact that your apples are poison. What in the hell has anything that Kristen has gossiped about or said or may have repeated that somebody else has said or done have to do with the fact that your trash box husband invited her ex over as an F you to her? I'm confused. These are two different conversations. These are two different situations. But for Brittany to then do that to Kristen, I was like, wow, Brittany, you really are just as evil as your husband. You're just as evil as your husband. It was just so gross and nasty to me. And I was just like, wow. I was just like, I felt so vindicated because people was like, oh, Brittany's a saint. Brittany's an angel. Brittany's so nice. And I'm like, no, she's not. No, she is not. She's not angel and she's not nice. She's just like her toxic, narcissistic, weird husband, Jax. That's why they're attracted to each other. That's why they're married. Come on. Come on, girl. And then the whole, Jax and Brittany split, breaking up. What are our thoughts on that? Do we think that's real? Or do we think that was to get people to tune in to watch the show? Because if we learned nothing from Scandival, breakups and cheating apparently is what makes the ratings and the views and the clicks and everything. So I'm kind of side-eyeing their whole split. It was kind of convenient that all of a sudden they announced their split. She's in an Airbnb or he's in an Airbnb and she has 4 things he needs to work on and Cruz deserves better, blah, 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 right before premiere date. Cameras pick up the split. I'm tired of cameras picking back up. It was corny when Scandival did it. It was corny when Beverly Hills did it for Cal and Mauricio. It's going to be corny when they do it in the Valley. Picking back up cameras. Stop it. Stop it. Do a TikTok. I'll see it on your TikTok. Picking back cameras. Stop it. You're corny with it. So Jax and Brittany, to me, they're both evil. And to be back to the racism thing, Faith did say that Brittany called her racial slurs, which I 100% believe. I'm not going to talk about anybody's religious beliefs, but I do know that the pastor who was supposed to do their whole wedding, he had said some very homophobic, horrific things. I don't know exactly what they were, so I don't want to speak to it because I didn't actually hear what he said. And they had to do damage control. And then they sort of, placated to the gay community and had Lance Bass officiate them. So it's like, no, we're not going to have the homophobic pastor do it. We're going to get this, famous pop star gay guy to do it instead. And it was just like, come on. So to me, they've always been, and Jax, as we know, he got fired because it came out, he was called somebody, this woman's Black boyfriend or husband on some other reality show, like a monkey in his nose. And obviously he was Black and all this other stuff that all got exposed, and all stuff, the other stuff that Jax was doing. So they all got exposed for that. So they're all evil and they're all nasty as hell. Nasty as hell. So the whole Jax and Brittany split, is it real? Is it not? I have no idea. I don't believe anything anymore. I always believe in conspiracy, but I'm a little jaded at this point because I'm like, everything is so fake and we know it's fake to a certain degree, of course, we're all smart human beings, but there used to be this quality where we could suspend belief and sort of believe that this was real and believe that this was spontaneous and just unfolding in front of our eyes, when reality TV was a much more happy escape aspiration, where now it's just who can we tear down the quickest and the fastest? So Jax and Brittany, they're both just evil for that. And I have a feeling it's going to work because the fact is Brittany wanted to take the heat off of Jax because what he did was dead wrong. I don't care who you talk to. What he did inviting Alex was dead wrong. I don't even like Luke, but that's still disrespectful as hell. I put myself in a situation, say I'm dating a guy and his best friend invites his ex-girlfriend out with all of us. It's just very disrespectful all the way around. Very disrespectful. So instead of Brittany being honest and what Jax did was wrong, she throws Kristen under the bus. And it's going to work because people want to dislike Kristen and have, you know what I mean? It's going to work. I bet you the rest of the season is going to be everybody against Kristen for whatever it is she said that Brittany exposed. And it's going to take the heat off of everything that Jax did. And then did you notice at the birthday party? Not the birthday party. It was the baby shower, whatever it was. When Jax pants that guy, did you check that it was actually Brock's idea? Sheena's Brock, who allegedly is cheating on her with some Australian influencer. Yeah, because we all knew that wasn't gonna last, and we all knew he was not the PayPal husband, the payroll husband, but word on the street is he's cheating on her with an Australian influencer. But it was actually Brock's idea, and Jax did it. See, Brock's is also weird and not these people are just icky poo. Anyway, let's move on to another couple. Let me see here. I have to pull it up because I forget the couple's names. I really, really do. Okay, so we did Jax and Brittany. We did Kristen and Luke. All right, let's do Danny and Nia. So Danny is the short guy of the group. He kind of has Napoleon complex. If you know, you know. So he's a short guy of the group. He was on Nickelodeon. Danny, I hope you're okay. Everything coming out with Nickelodeon these days. Yikes. I hope you're okay. But I think he was on Nickelodeon shows. I don't know what they're called, but he was on some Nickelodeon shows. And then he's married to Nia, who's gorgeous, tall, beautiful, ex-pageant queen, all of that stuff. And they have their cute little babies, and they're this sort of power couple. Everybody wants to be blah, 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 blah. I them. I think they're cute. Like, you know what I mean? They're cute. They're fun. I like Danny. I like Nia. I don't think there's anything particularly special about this couple that gives like star quality, even though he's an actor and a voice actor. I didn't know who he was. And I guess she's like a pageant person. They seem really cute. They seem pretty normal. They seem genuinely in love. So there's a part of me that's kind of like, why are you tempting fate by going on a reality show with these people? It's kind of like you're punching down a bit, but who knows what's really going on. It seems like Nia is suffering from, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but maybe some type of postpartum. It seems like that's what they're alluding to. She's like, my hormones aren't right. I've been really, emotional, and she's like crying about stuff. So I don't know if they're alluding to maybe some postpartum stuff. If it is, my heart goes out to her. Hopefully she'll talk about it and get some awareness around, what it looks like and what it feels like. And maybe she can talk about that. But they seem okay. I like them, but nothing like pizzazz. You know what I mean? Like, they're cool. I think they work as a normal, fun, staple couple in an ensemble. I'm just not sure if it's this ensemble. To be honest with you, you know what it is? I think this show would work better without Jax and Brittany. That's what it is. And I said this from the beginning. I was like, they could do the show The Valley without Jax. I wouldn't even mind Kristen being on it. I know what she's done. I wouldn't even mind Kristen being on it. But Jax and Brittany, I think, is what is making it a trash dumpster fire for me. Because he is so clearly producing this show. So clearly. And I get it. He's like, it's his comeback show, blah, 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 blah. But like, when anybody on the show, even if it's quote their show, whatever you want to call it, whenever they produce it so transparently, it's no longer fun to watch. Like with Giselle and Potomac, she's so clearly producing. With Kyle and Beverly Hills, so clearly producing. It's no longer fun to watch when it's so obviously being produced. And that's really what's taking away from it. So I have nothing against Danny and Nia. We'll see what else comes out in the wash with the two of them. Now, let's get into Jesse and Michelle. Jesse and Michelle are the couple that go on reality TV to divorce. Like we have these couples that come on TV to divorce. Like we've seen it on The Housewives with certain, couples where they know they're going to get divorced or their things aren't in a good place. And it's either the woman trying to situate herself in a place to get some money or to get a come up or a platform to be put in a position to leave her husband, like Mia, for example, in Potomac with Gordon. We've seen that. And I think that that's what's going on with this couple, because Michelle does not like her husband. Like, she does not like him. She like looks at him with disgust and disdain, and he does not like her either. But I think it started with her not liking him. I think he was still wanted to do him, booze it up, have fun, be the forever playboy, but yet have the wife, have the kid, and have the social standing that comes with being a husband. Not that it should make a difference, but society, it does. There is a difference between a husband and a wife, versus the bachelor guy or the single girl. Not that I personally think that there's anything wrong with either one, but in our society, there is a certain cachet that comes with being a married couple. And I think that he wants that cachet without actually the responsibility. And I think Michelle kind of got a wake-up call. I think it was all fun and games when he was paying for everything. And I'm not saying she's a gold digger. That's not what I mean by that. I mean, like, it was just like fun and games, when it was just like they're having sex and they're really cute and he's spending and it's great. But like she said on the show, have the conversations about like, how do we want to raise our kids? Because we never had those conversations. So you can tell that like the party stopped for her, but the party didn't stop for him. And you can tell she's very like disgusted and she's very fed up and she's very done. And so we have that whole storyline. And the reason why that they basically came on the show to get divorced is because episode 1, episode 2 out the gate, Jesse's like, "Oh yeah, we're not in a good place. She initiated a separation." What? Like, we didn't have to like work for that or figure it out. You're not even lying or pretending. When they just say it like that, it's because that was their agenda in the first place. I think they're the couple who comes onto the show to divorce. So we'll see what happens there. Now, I don't know. Put it in the chat. If you know what the whole secret bombshell Kristen said is, put it in the chat box. But I think it's something about Jesse's sexuality. That would be my guess, because I saw some type of thing where it was like Kristen was trying to apologize to him and he was like, "Shut the F up" to her, like something super disrespectful. And then we see the friend, I believe his name is Zach. At the end, he gets all up in arms and he's like, "No, I never said that. I never said that." So at my guess, and if you guys know, if you've seen any spoilers, but my guess is she has said something, whether it's a rumor, whether something happened around Jesse's sexuality. That is what I think Brittany said to get the heat off of Jax. So she just throws her under the bus. Because the moment you say, "Oh, Kristen said something about your husband's sexuality," then all the heat is off of Jax. And now everybody is hating Kristen, when Kristen probably was just, kikiing and gossiping and, spilling the tea and didn't think it was going to come up. But then Brittany used it against her because she's evil. So that's what I really think is going on with that situation. Now, to be honest with you, I don't like Jesse or Michelle, because that's another thing. What's missing is the likability factor. I don't really like any of the characters. Like, I like Danny, I like Nia, they're okay, but there is not a couple that I'm really rooting for on the show, if that makes sense. And I do think with Jesse and Michelle kind of comes across a little, like, I don't know, a little attitude-y. Like, she doesn't seem very friendly. She's kind of cold. She's kind of standoffish. Jesse, to me, is like a guy who like peaked in high school, but like nobody gave him he like didn't get the memo that like high school is over, and like being this like frat bro dude like isn't a good look in your 40s. Like, chill out. So I feel like he's still living out his high school glory days, and he didn't get the memo that like high school's over. So that's kind of what I feel is going on with them, which kind of stinks, because episode 1, I was pleasantly surprised because I actually was more invested into the couples in the first episode. I was like, okay, they're having kids and they're talking about the next stages of life and they're doing whatever. Like, okay, I can get into this. Let's see what's going to happen. Where it really went left for me was episode 2. And it's really about how to me, it's Jax and Brittany kind of poisoned where I think the show could have went, if that makes sense. I think that if the show would have stayed more focused on the lives of the couples, I think it would have been much more interesting. And I think I would have grown to like them. But I think that the show is going to get derailed to be very toxic and to be very cutthroat and very bitter and very dark because of what happens in episode 2. And I don't think it's ever going to recover. That is really what I think is going to happen. So I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below. And how long do you give Jesse and Michelle before they divorce? Or maybe they'll just, cheaper to keep her. Who knows? But they're definitely that couple that goes on to the show to get divorced. All right. Now, Jason and Janet. Oh, Jason and Janet. Janet's the one who's like, "I'm aggressive." And she's like, "And he's passive." I saw some reports or, articles, whatever, being like, "Oh, this is like our favorite couple, Jason and Janet. They're so funny. They're so relatable." I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm just going to keep it 100. Maybe it's just me, but I never think it is cute or funny or entertaining when one spouse berates another spouse. Maybe it's misogyny in me, but particularly when it is the woman who does it to the man and this very but it's guised in this is I'm just snarky and I'm just sarcastic. Oh, he's an idiot. Oh, shut up, honey. I can't, oh my, he doesn't do anything right. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, I'm just like that. I don't think that's cute or funny. And that's what she gives. She gives very much like masculine alpha energy. And she just sort of like emasculates and berates him. And I don't think that's entertaining, if that makes sense. I don't think it's cute the other way around either. I don't think it's cute when a guy, like if a guy is disrespectful to the woman in any way, I don't think that's funny either. But when a woman does it to the man, it's usually much more acceptable. You know, it's like if he was saying to her, if he was like, I'm aggressive and she's passive, everybody would be like, oh my God, this guy's a meathead. He's abusive. How dare you say that? You're so aggressive. I don't like it either way. I don't like any type of putting your person down any way it goes. I don't know. I don't like that whole thing. If it works for them, cool. But it gets very old very, very quickly. And I kind of think that's their whole shtick, where she's like the man, she wears the pants and she like puts him down. And then he's kind of just like beta. I don't like it because there's a part of it to me that feels emotionally abusive in a way. But that's just how it feels to me. If he doesn't care, cool. If she doesn't care, cool. But I don't want to really watch that all the time. It kind of grates on the soul. But everyone's like, no, they're so great, blah, 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 blah. Yes, Miss T, she's the pregnant one. Yeah, Janet, she's the pregnant one. And it just kind of screams like insecurity. Like, don't get me wrong, a little bit of banter here and there is great. And I don't think that people have to have, typical societal, this is the man's role, this is the woman's role. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when it is so clearly where one partner sort of humiliates the other partner for their personality. Like his personality is very docile, it's very soft, it is very passive. But I think that's okay. I think that's a strength. It would be nice if more people were softer, but to then kind of weaponize that against him, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I didn't think that they were this breakout couple that's so relatable. I don't want to relate to that. I don't want to relate to berating my man. And I don't want to relate to my man holding in clearly resentment towards me. Because I don't care whether you're in a relationship or not. I don't care if you're male or female or not. If someone continuously digs at you under the guise of sarcasm or a joke or it's cool, that breeds resentment. That breeds bitterness because nobody wants to be the butt of a joke. Nobody wants to feel disrespected by their partner. Nobody wants to feel emasculated by their partner. They don't. It doesn't feel good. So we'll see what happens with that. I think she needs to just chill a bit. You can still be smart and sassy and whippy and aggressive, and you could still be all of those things, but chill on the berating of him, because that's how it feels to me. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe deep down inside he does, So we'll see. So those are the couples. Now, let's move to, and I hate to say it, again, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer with this dumpster fire of a show, but I just got to tell you how I feel, because that's the only thing I can do. Jasmine is the black girl and Zach is the gay guy. And I said it like that for a reason. Jasmine is the black girl and Zach is the gay guy. Now, do we think in real life these couples are hanging out with these two? Or do we think that that the producer said we need some diversity? Who can we get? I don't know. Do we think these couples are real friends? Maybe, maybe not. Or was it, people wanting to be on a reality show who kind of knew each other coming together? I don't know. But it just seems to me like Jasmine and Jack and Zach are sort of like, we have this show about one, two, three, four, five white couples. We got to get a gay guy. We got to get a minority. Is that how you guys feel, or am I the only one? Maybe I'm the only one, but it just seemed like it. And I'll tell you another reason why it felt like it. And it felt very icky to me because and it was what Kristen said, but I'm not going to blame Kristen for it because I think it's something the producers told her to say. I don't think she came up with this herself because it was very like, now we're describing all of the people on the show. Here we go. And she's like, yeah. And then there's Jack and Jasmine. And like, they just tell it like it is. There's like no BS with them. And it was literally, it felt like she was like, and this is my sassy Black friend. And this is my fabulous gay BFF. Like, that's kind of what it felt like. Like, okay, so Jasmine's a sassy Black girl who tells it like it is. And Zach is like the fabulous gay guy who holds nothing back. He's going to spill the tea with you guys. It just seemed very like caricature to me. Do you know what I mean? It seemed like very much like we have a show about 5 white couples. We got to get in the minority. We got to get in the LGBTQIA. I'm sorry if I mispronounced those letters. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like. Go back and watch episode 1 when Kristen's in her confessional and she's describing everybody. Jasmine and Zach, they're amazing. Like, they just tell it like it is. There's just no BS there. And I'm like, oh my God. It literally was like, and this is my sassy Black friend, and this is my fabulous gay BFF. I was like, I can't. And I'm not even blaming Kristen for that because she so clearly was reading off of a teleprompter. So producers or whoever okayed that, and B, I think probably told her that because they're trying to create each persona, each archetype of the characters on the show. And to me, I'm like, well, couldn't you have gotten like a gay couple on the show? Couldn't you have gotten a Black couple or an Asian couple or an Indian couple or Hispanic couple on the show? Couldn't you show that love? But no, it has to be the sassy Black girlfriend and like the fabulous gay guy. You know what I mean? Like, if you're putting together these couples who I question the validity of how good of friends these couples are, just like with the housewives. We saw what happened with Anne Marie. Kyle was like, I don't know that chick. I met her once. You know what I'm saying? So we know that they bring in these friends of and these groups of people and these ensembles. With Roni, those girls did not know each other on Roni. Please. They did not know each other on Roni. Not in any real way. On Real Housewives of New York, right? Couldn't they have gotten a Black couple? Or any other race couple? If they are going to do that type of pandering. Because I'm not the person that says we have to have an Indian couple or an Asian or we have to. No, it's okay. You can have an all white ensemble. If that is what is authentic and true, that is okay too. We can have an all Black. We can have an all Asian. We can have an all gay. That all of those things are fine. We can also have inclusive, where there are different minorities and different sexualities when it's authentic and when it makes sense. What it boils down to is authenticity and truth. I'm not saying cast all white and exclude people. I'm just saying don't include them if it's not genuine and authentic. So that's kind of what I'm saying. And it just seems like a hodgepodge. And even look at my little thing. Zach and Jasmine weren't even included in the cast photo. This is from BravoTV.com. I had to go and get Zach and Jasmine. They weren't even included in the cast. It's my sassy black friend and my fabulous gay friend. Bravo, shut up. So that's kind of how I feel about the Valley. Now, season 3 airs this week. I'm gonna watch, or episode 3, I'm sorry. I'm gonna watch episode 3 just because I need to see what happens with the whole Jax, Brittany, Kristen, this whole rumor thing. But I feel like that's gonna be the last one unless it can redeem themselves. You know? So there's that. There is that. All right, so that was the Valley. So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So what do you guys want me to cover next? We can do Summer House, we can do Vanderpump Rules, or we could do the Real Housewives of Potomac. So put it down in the chat box. The first person to put what they want us to cover in the chat, that's what we will cover. But yeah, that's what's going on at the Valley. Oh, and you guys don't forget, we have merch, we have t-shirts. Everything is linked down below in the description box, and it's also pinned up. So I guess we'll do, oh, Adam says Vanderpump Rules. Okay. Hey, Adam. All right, so we'll do Vanderpump Rules. This is another hot trash dumpster fire, okay? This one might be a little quick because this is crazy. Now, everything going on, I'm just going to go down the line and talk about each character. So, Katie. As we know, Katie hooks up with Max. Max is one of Tom Schwartz's best friends. He was on season 8 or 9 of Vanderpump Rules when Vanderpump Rules clearly should just have been canceled around then, when they brought in like Max and Charlie and Dana, all these weird people. That's when everybody got fired. When Brittany and Jax got fired and Stassi and Kristen got fired. They brought in all these people, and Max was supposedly like one of the managers at Tom Tom. Max also slept with Sheena. So they weren't officially dating. Maybe in Sheena's head they were dating, but they were definitely sleeping together and had all of that stuff. Now, the reason why I think Katie slept with Max is twofold. One, because that was right after she found out that Tom Schwartz and Sheena had kissed in Vegas like 7 years ago. And they're like, it was so long ago, get over it. No, I'm with Katie on this one. I would be petty forever because how much Katie has been gaslit is insane. Like the entire world was shook when Tom Sandoval cheated on Ariana. They weren't even married. People were literally cheering when Tom Schwartz would cheat on Katie. Literally cheering when Tom Schwartz was kissing Raquel in Katie's face in Mexico. So Katie has been gaslit for years on years on years on years because Katie does not have a stereotypical, palpable, likable female personality. She's heavy in her masculine. She can be abrasive. She's an acquired taste, you know, and there has been a lot of maligning of Katie. You know, I personally like Katie. I do. I like her. I see through a lot of all of the other stuff. And I think inside is a very sweet, soft person who's been through a lot of hurt and hasn't had a lot of support from people, you know? And so I think that really triggered her, where she's like, well, wait a minute. I've never really trusted Sheena, but Sheena's always acted like I've been some horrible person to her. You know, Schwartz has been cheating on me for our entire relationship. Side note, if somebody's cheating on you your entire relationship, at some point, it's your fault. And what I mean by that is get out. Nobody is worth your dignity. Nobody is worth your respect. Just like Brittany and Jax. You know, there isn't any, well, what am I looking for? There isn't any glory in self-sacrifice. It's really not. So if you're in a relationship for 12 years with a man who habitually cheats on you, who habitually disrespects you, who throws drinks on you, who chooses his friends over you, who chooses everybody over you, get out. This is a PSA to everybody. Get out. I don't care how much you think you love this person. Choose to love yourself just a little bit more. If all you have is an ounce of more love of yourself, use that to get out of it because it's not worth it. These people are now divorced and he is still making her look like a clown. He didn't have to tell everybody about this stupid kiss he had with Sheena in Vegas. It's still another way of him to say F you, Katie. He didn't have to do that. Nobody knew that they had some random kiss in Vegas. Now the question is, do we think it was just a kiss? I personally don't. I don't think people are in Vegas of age or even under, well, we're not going there, of age, just getting wasted and kissing. I don't buy it. The same way I never thought Ariana and Tom only kissed. That's not even cheating in your 20s. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you kissed somebody. Okay. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? No. I think this whole we just kissed, I don't buy that. If you just kissed, you wouldn't even bring it up. They all just kiss all the time. You know what I mean? So I feel bad for Katie. I think she was triggered by all of that. So don't forget that Max is Tom Schwartz's best friend, but also Sheena's ex. So when she slept with him after finding out, it was not just an FU to Tom Schwartz. It was also an FU to Sheena. So go, I'm team Katie with that. Go girl, you get it in. Now, where I think I lie with Katie when it comes to her allegiance with Ariana, I think she's aligned with her for a couple of reasons. One, something about her, the sandwich shop that to never be. I hope it opens. I hope it gets, everything works out. What I think is really going on, I think that behind the scenes, I think they might be in a legal battle with that woman. What was her name? Penny or something like that? Allegedly, Penny went behind their back and she trademarked something about her. So I think that Ariana and Katie maybe created the LLC, but I think that she trademarked it. Something fishy in it going on. And I think that there might be some type of lawsuit or litigation or talks or something going on behind the scenes with something about her that they're not being honest about because they keep saying, oh, permits. And I'm like, stop it. Like you could have been open by now. I also think that Ariana got too big for the britches and was just like, I'm booked and I'm busy. I'm going to go be the host for Love Island. I'm on Dancing with the Stars. I'm making all this money. I'm going to go buy a $1.6 million house. Like, I don't need the sandwich shop. You know, I think Ariana's like, I don't need this sandwich shop. I'm in Broadway. I got my boyfriend. Like, I'm going to go decorate my $1.6 million house. I don't need the sandwich shop now. Ariana better be thanking her lucky stars for Scandival. To be honest with you, if I was Ariana, I wouldn't have it in my heart to even pretend to be bitter anymore. If a guy that I was with, we weren't having sex, we weren't happy, we were basically glorified roommates. I'm not saying this to negate what he did because what he did was still wrong. But then if he cheats on me and then all of a sudden the entire world loves me, I get movies on Lifetime, I get to be on Broadway, I get to buy a $1.6 million house, I get to date a really hot new guy, I get to be the host on Love Island USA, I get to write books, I get to be on, morning shows and TV shows. I wouldn't have the capacity in my heart for any type of anger or bitterness. I would just be overwhelmed with like joy and gratitude. I would probably be so cool with Tom. Is that weird? But like, I feel like I would be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for cheating on me. My life is astronomical and amazing now. And thank you. Like, I kind of feel like I would like buy him a beer. You know, I would be like, let me take you out. You know, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like in my heart and in my soul, I would be like, I couldn't have any bitterness toward him because look at all of these blessings I now have. So I guess that's just me, or I don't know how you guys would feel, but like if I'm Ariana, I'm not really harboring any ill will anymore. If anything, it's like, let me buy you a beer, dude, because you just totally blew up my life in the most beautiful, glorious way ever. Because I don't think anybody is pretending that if Scandival had not happened, that Ariana would not be where she is today. That is just the truth. That is just the truth, you know? Anyway, back to Katie. So I think that Katie is aligned with her also because of her own issues she's had with Tom Sandoval. It's like she gets a reason, an outlet that people understand to be so hateful towards him. I mean, I understand it. You know, if there was a guy like Tom Sandoval in my life, number one, he wouldn't be, because I wouldn't tolerate that in my life. But she did. I would hate him too. Not like hate, you know what I mean? You know, because of how he treated her. Systematically poisoned everybody against her. You know? So I don't know. This is what I say to you, Katie. Figure out what's going on with something about her. If it's not working, cut bait. And then keep doing you. Find your happiness. You know, do what you have to do. And also cut bait from Tom Schwartz. There's going to be an upcoming storyline where, and this is where it's like, I can't watch this crap anymore, where Katie and Tom are supposed to be hooking up with the same girl. And she's like, let the best man win. It's like, stop. You know, I know that she's like heavily trying to put herself in her match. She's like, I'm in my masculine. I was a man in a past life. Stop it, Katie. Stop. You know, I don't think that she's miraculous. I don't know. It's giving Morgan Wade, Kyle Richards vibes, where it's just like, let's just create some nonsense for storylines. Because Katie and Tom Schwartz hooking up with the same waitress at Pump or Sir or wherever it is, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Anyway, Tom Schwartz's new girlfriend is cute. I think she's like 20 something. She's like a little TikToker. She's cute. I forgot what her name is. They were doing their little TikToks and stuff. She's a cutie. She's cute. I hope she has a good personality, but she's a cute girl. Anyway, that's kind of where I stand with her. So Ariana, we kind of touched on her. Now, new topic for Ariana. So her brother, Jeremy, he's now coming out the cuts. He is estranged from her now. He said it's because that Ariana gave his now fiance, I think her name is Rachel or something like that, gave her microaggressions. Basically, he was saying that like Ariana was disrespecting his girlfriend, who is now his fiance. And so he had to take a step away from her. He's like, I miss my sister. I want to talk to her, but like I had to like take a break. But to me, this is all very performative. I don't know, again, is this just made up to give Ariana a storyline for the next season? If they get a next season, if she's coming back, maybe she thinks she's too big for the show. I don't know. But it just seems really weird and bizarre that her brother went to the opening of the Jax's sports bar, and he was there and he was hugging Sandoval, and he's like, I miss my sister. If I ever talk to her, I haven't talked to her in months. And he proposed to his girlfriend at Jax's sports bar, and like Schwartz was there, and Tom Sandoval was there. Like, why are you proposing to this woman with these other people? Like, that's a thing I don't get. So I don't know if this is just Ariana needs a new storyline. The brother wants to come back to the show. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they need some new brand deals. He wants his 15 minutes of fame. I don't know if I believe this. Like, I don't know what to believe, because why would the brother all of a sudden be like proposing to her at Jax's sports bar? Now, I know that he stayed with Tom Sandoval and Ariana for free when he first came to LA to get on his feet and everything, which is fine. But like, when it comes to this situation, my allegiance is to my sister. It's not to her ex. I don't care if you let me stay in the house. You let me stay in the house because you're with my sister and I'm, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm family. So the fact that he is like, so, why was he even invited to Jax's opening? I don't know. It's giving very contrived. It's giving very creepy and weird. It's giving very toxic. It's reminding me of Meghan Markle's family for some reason, where it's like the siblings want to come out and like get their 15 minutes of fame and like malign someone as much as they can. Because I will tell you this, the family cuts both ways. Sometimes it can cut where it's like someone in the family becomes famous or they get some money, and then family members come out the woodwork trying to malign them for their 15 minutes, and it's totally justified. Then sometimes people get famous, a little bit of money, and the family comes out to malign them, and it's totally true. Either way, I don't think it's justified. Like, if your family member gets rich and famous and you don't like that family member, be quiet about it. Unless it's like atrocious, you know what I mean? Unless it's like abuse or something, and you're like, no, this person's a bad person who needs to go to jail. That's fine. But if it's just like family beef, that family beef should stay in the family. If it's just like family beef. And that's what it seems like with Jeremy and Ariana. Like, that's just a little bit of family beef. That's kitchen, shout out to Wendy Williams. That's kitchen table talk. You know, like what goes on in your household, sometimes they stay in your household. He's been quoted in like People magazine. He did a whole exclusive with like Us Weekly talking about it. And that's why I'm really side-eyeing Jeremy, where I'm like, why are you giving an exclusive to Us Weekly talking about, I miss my sister and blah, blah, blah. Well, then pick up the phone. The only reason why the little brothers and the sisters and the aunties and the uncles and the mommies and the papas come out is because they want money. They want their 15 minutes of fame. So I'm not an Ariana fan, but when it comes to this, I'm on her side. If you don't rock with your family, don't rock with them, but you don't go against them in this way for something this petty. You know? And as much as Ariana talks about she needs blind loyalty from people, her brother should be the first person, because that's actually her blood. Like, leave little Sheena Shea alone. You know, let Sheena live. You know, but it should be your brother. So who knows what the hell is going on there with her. But I have Ariana fatigue. I do. I'm happy for her. No shade. Like, I want her to get every opportunity she can get, but that still doesn't mean that I'm not fatigued by her. You know, two things can be true. I can be just tired of it without hating on it, because I'm not hating on it. I do want her to love her new $1.6 million house. I want her to kill it on Love Island. I want all the opportunities that is for her to shine. I'm just personally fatigued on it, if that makes sense. So there's no shade there. There's no hate. I want her to get all her coins and bags. I'm just a little over it, if that makes sense. Now, Tom Sandoval. Tom Sandoval is like, at this point, it's pathetic on a different level. By pathetic, I don't mean the like Scandival thing. I mean, it's pathetic. It's sad is what it is. Because like, looking at him now, you just really see how insecure and weird and narcissistic and hollow he is. And I don't mean that in a malicious way. I mean it in a way where it's kind of just sad looking at him now, you know? He's like trying to hang on, like having like Billy Lee and like all those weird people at the parties. And like, he keeps talking about like, that's my roommate. It's my ex. We weren't together for a long time, but like for like 10 years. Yeah, it's weird. And like the alleged drug use and like talking about Rachel. It's just the whole thing is just really sad. And even Shorts is just like, ugh, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sad. Like, I don't even want to harp too much on Tom because he just seems really sad. And I get Wade was messed up. I get he's done a lot of weird things in the past. But there comes a point where it's just like, this person is just sad. So I'm just going to leave him there. Just really weird. Him and his new alleged girlfriend, which is, in my opinion, 100% a PR fake relationship. She's the model that's been linked to like Leonardo DiCaprio. They just happen to have, Backgrid. Backgrid is the paparazzi company that people call on themselves. So, when it's like, oh no, we were just at dinner. How did you find us? Or we were just shopping at Erewhon. How did you find us? We were just getting a Starbucks. How did you find us? Because you called them. Kyle is in Aspen. How did you find us? Because you called us, Kyle. It's because you called them. So 99% of the time, paparazzi photos are staged. They're staged to look like, oh my God, stars are just like us, caught, blah, blah, blah. They're staged. They're either the person called them directly or they're publicisted to set everything up, So it's like, oh, this person spotted in Utah. Paparazzi don't live in Utah. You flew them out. Sometimes the stars will pay the paparazzi, or sometimes they will make sure that they get certain types of photos of them that will sell for more money. Stars do this all the time. By stars, I mean influencers, actors, athletes, musicians, reality stars, anybody you see in Us Weekly, Radar, Page Six, Dumas, the blogs, all of that stuff. 99% of the time, the paparazzi were called and it was all staged. A lot of that stuff is staged. That's how a lot of people like debut their relationships. Like, ooh, Brad Pitt and blah, 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 spotted at the beach. It's like, yeah, spotted at the beach because their publicist called you and paid you to show up and take pictures of them. So then it could be leaked to Us Weekly. Come on, So he's kind of doing that. It's kind of weird and sick. Now, Lisa, has anybody watched, what is it, Vanderpump Villa? I need to watch it. I think it just came out on Hulu today. So I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to watch it. I hope it's good. I love LVP. No notes for her. You can tell that she is, actually my only note for her is, I agree with what Lala said about the conversation she had with Lala and Sheena about Tom Sandoval's mental health. I do understand where LVP was coming from by because Tom Sandoval, I don't know, there's something sad and just, you never know. You never know. And when the whole world is coming at you, that could be really hard. I still think he has his narcissism and all the other stuff. So I'm not giving him a pass for that, but we're all humans and we all have our own flaws and our own illnesses and our own dispositions and our own mistakes. So at the end of the day, I can empathize with any human being. We all have fallen short to greater or lesser degrees. So there's that. But I do agree with that. Lisa Vanderpump should not put the pressure or the onus on Lala and Sheena to mind Tom Sandoval's mental health. But where I think she was correct is that they all should be mindful of his mental health. So the difference in that is, by mind, it's like it's not their responsibility to look after his mental health. It's his responsibility to look after his mental health. It's his responsibility to get help, to take a step back, to do what he needs to do to get well. But it is the people in your life's responsibility to be mindful, conscious of, thoughtful of somebody's mental state. So if you know somebody is in a frail state, you should be mindful of that. The way you speak to them, the way you reach out to them, the way you handle them, you should be mindful of the mental state that they are in. But you don't mind it, because that, to mind, is like when someone says mind your own business, that's what mind is. The responsibility of. You're not responsible for somebody's mental health, but you are responsible to be mindful of the way in which you treat someone who is going through a mental health crisis. So I agree with what Lisa Vanderpump said, to be mindful of what he's going through. But I also agree with Lala saying that then get him professional help. Make sure he's talking to professionals and make sure it's clear that it's not their responsibility. Because, God forbid something did happen to him. Knock on wood, I'm not speaking that. You would never want to feel like, well, it's my fault. I didn't do enough, So it's not their responsibility to mind his mental health, but it is their responsibility to be mindful of his mental state. So that's kind of where I land on that. But I also think I also thought it was very beautiful for Lisa Vanderpump to be vocal and honest about how she lost her own brother to his, mental illness. He ultimately succumbed to it, unfortunately, whether he meant to do it or whether it was a cry for help that went too far. Either way, it was by his own hand, and how gut-wrenching and awful and chilling that is. So it was good to see her open up and share and all of that stuff, because when you're so close to something like that, it can change how you approach people. And I don't know, is this an unpopular opinion or is this a popular opinion? Let me know. I'm kind of over crucifying Tom Sandoval for this. I get he messed up. I get he's a weirdo, but enough is enough with like the hate of it all. Like, I'm kind of over that. But I don't know what you guys think. Let me know. Okay. James Kennedy. I like James Kennedy. He's fun, but I could do without him and Allie. I think James is really fun, but I think James should just go and be a DJ and go be a TikTok star. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think James shines because he's really funny and he has really good one-liners. But I mean this for everybody on the show. I think everybody has outgrown the show. Right now, the show, it's very staged. It's very awkward. It's very forced. It's very stale. They're talking about things that happened a year ago that nobody cares about anymore. They're all just focused on, like Lala said, rebranding and building. And it's just like, okay, but like this isn't the show for it. I feel like the show no longer makes sense. The premise of the show no longer makes sense with the lives of the people that we're watching. They've outgrown the show. It's a wrap for me. I think this should be the last season. Let it go. James, I think, would be great on TikTok. He's funny. He has one-liners. He's into music. He should just go be a DJ, live his best life. When it comes to Allie, I feel so vindicated because I said, to me, Allie is an opportunist. I think the only reason why she's dating James is because she wanted to be on the show to launch her music career. And what is she doing right now? She's on TikTok. Like I said, James should be. He probably is on TikTok. I just don't follow him. Singing her songs at her little, Taylor Swift world. And she's doing music videos with Sheena and other people. And I'm like, see, because it just, you know what it is? To me, Allie and Raquel, same person, same energy, except for I think that Allie is more sane than Raquel is. Because I do think that there is a true tick, a ticky boom, something off, something like all the lights in the house aren't on. Like something's not, like the lights are on, but no one's home, whatever the saying is when it comes to Raquel, or Rachel rather. But I think that Rachel and Allie are same energy. They both sought out James specifically to get with him and to get on the show. They both then pretty much admitted it. Raquel said that her dad dropped her off, I think with Allie, it was like her mom or something, to meet him specifically. Anytime, and Sheena, I'm talking to you too, Sheena. Anytime a fan purposely seeks you out, that is a relationship you probably should not get into. Have a one-nighter, hit it and quit it. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. But to get into a serious relationship with a fan who purposely has an agenda to seek you out, the way Brock did with Sheena when he slid into her DMs, they now lie and say they met at a festival, but that's what happens with the truth. You have to remember it. I remember they said that he slid into her DMs, but then all of a sudden they met at a festival. That's like when people lie who met on Bumble and they're like, no, we met in a coffee shop. Stop lying. You met in Bumble. Who cares? Just tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, if I were famous, when I'm famous, manifested, I would be very weary, or anybody out there, famous or not, anybody who is a fan and their agenda is to seek you out, watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Ugh. So that's kind of where I stand with them. Allie, I'm not into astrology and crystals and moonbeams and charts and all that stuff. I don't mess around with that stuff. So good luck to her with that. But the whole like singing and everything, I think she's doing what she set out to do. I think she wanted to be famous, and I think she thought the best way to do it. And to be honest, it's what James did to Kristen and to Tom Sandoval. James was a fan of the show. He sought out Kristen and Tom. Maybe he hooked up with both of them. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it happened, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if it was the truth, because he sought them both out. And how mad Tom got, you're sleeping with her in my bed with my condoms. Like, I don't know. It was just weird to me. I don't know. Maybe they were having a little I don't know. But James did the same thing. He admitted it. He's like, yeah, I wanted to be on the show and I sought them out. James did the same exact thing. So maybe it's just, turnabout's fair play and karma's foul play. He sought out Tom and Kristen, befriended Tom, slept with Kristen to get on the show. I don't think it's any different than what Rachel did or what Allie did. Getting dropped off at his gigs to meet him. To me, it's scary. It wouldn't be me. I'm rich and famous. You're sliding into my DMs. No, thank you, boo-boo. We got to meet at like a CEO conference or something. I don't know. We got to meet at somebody's dinner. I don't know. But I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to me. It's weird. It's weird. Okay. Lala. I think Lala, I think she's going to join the Valley next season. That's what I think is going to happen. If the Valley gets a next season, I think that she's going to join that. She just bought like a $3.1 million home in that area. Where she's getting this money from, I don't know. Where do you think you get the money to buy a $3.1 million home when she already owns a home in Palm Springs? So this would be her second home that she owns. Is Lala Beauty, give them Lala, send them to Daryl t-shirts doing it? Is it the Bravo check that's doing it? Is it her podcast check that's doing it? Who knows? Did Randall find some of his fraudulent money? Is that doing it? Does she have a rich benefactor? Is that doing it? I don't know. I'm not checking anybody's pockets, but I don't know. Maybe. But when it comes to Lala, I think she has a lot of valid points for the way that she's been treated versus the way Ariana or some of the other ladies have been treated when they were cheated on, when they have also been the other woman and all of that stuff. But there's some there's a little bit of like a bitterness to her, where I know now in the show, she's like, I don't want to be bitter. I want to be soft. But like how dismissive she was of Katie because Katie had hooked up with Max. She's like, well, that's like Tom's like best friend. Like this is so weird. I gotta go. Like, Lala, shut up. Get off the high horse, sweetheart. Get off the high horse. I love that Katie had sex with Max. Let Katie have some fun. Let Katie have some revenge. Because whether or not you like Katie or not, Katie has literally been so dogged out this entire show. You don't have to like her personality, but you have to be honest with how much Katie has been dogged out. Her whole husband cheated on her and nobody cared. Nobody cared. She's been dogged out this entire show. Let Katie have something. Let Katie have one night of fun, one night of revenge when she just found out that her ex-husband and Sheena made out, quote, made out. And we all know that's code for had sex. Nobody's just kissing in Vegas. Not this group. Come on now. Let Katie live. And Lala getting an attitude. Oh, there's nobody's honest. Nobody's transparent. This is just so weird. Oh, Katie, that's like, shut up, Lala. Please. Last season, you were busting it wide open for some random dude you met in the desert on the girls' weekend. Talking about I left the whole, mattress wet, something nasty and gross. Who cares? So you're busting it open for random men you meet out, which I'm not judging. You do you. You live your life. Trust me, that is not a judgment. This is a judgment-free zone. And that's my point. You're busting it open for men, and you have the audacity to judge Katie because she had one night of fun and one night of like a little bit of get back on people who have systematically dogged her the hell out. Shut up, Lala. And I usually really like you and I usually really agree with you. But to me, it's like nobody can be on a high self-righteous horse at this point. Nobody can be on a high self-righteous horse. They really can't. You would think Lala, of all people, would be like, you know what? Good for you, Katie. Good for you for taking back your power a little bit. At the end of the day, Tom Schwartz doesn't really care. He cares more about the fact, Tom Schwartz cares more that Max betrayed him than he does that Katie did. Let's be honest. And Sheena needs to mind her own household, which is crumbling and falling apart. So she needs to worry about that. I don't think she's going to care about anything. Shut up, Lala. Let Katie live, like all judgy. And that's the thing. It's like Lala's whole narrative has been, why can't I get any grace? Why can't I get any grace? Nobody gives me grace. But the moment you had the opportunity to show grace, you scoffed and you judged and you acted better than. So what you have been begging people for this entire season is the one thing you don't want to give? No, Katie gets all the grace. Katie gets all the grace from me. I know sometimes her personality can be a little prickly. I think that's more a defense mechanism because she's been hurt so much. Katie gets all the grace. Let her live. Let her have some fun. Let her get a little get back. Let her feel a little bit better, a little bit. So with me, Lala missed me with that. However, Mazel, congratulations on your baby. As we know, she's now currently pregnant. That's super exciting. And I think that's the way to do it this day and age. It's 2024. If you have the resources and the money and the means and the support to have a child theoretically on your own without a partner, then do it. It's better than what Kristen is doing on the Valley, allegedly, just trying to get knocked up by some guy she's in a situationship with just to have a baby. No, because you got to think about that child. Because the person that you choose to have a baby with, whether or not you choose to mess with that person, will fundamentally and definitively, and sometimes irrevocably, that's a word, irrevocably, irrevocable, whatever, you know what I mean, will have significant consequences on your child's life. And that's what people really need to think about. It's not the idea of having a child. It's the reality of having a child. And it's one thing to say to your child, you know what, baby, I loved you. I wanted a baby so much. I had so much love. This is what mommy did so I could have you, versus your dad lives in Utah and we're fighting and we don't see him and he's this and he's that. Maybe he's going to want to come and get visitation rights. Maybe he's not going to want to get visitations right. Maybe it's, you know what I mean? It's very messy. It's very messy. And as we all know, whether your parent is present in your life or not present in your life affects you as a child. Whether it's an absent father, whether it's a present father, whether it's an absent mother, whether it's a present mother, that affects a child and how they watch their parents interact. That's psychology literally 101. I don't think anybody can really dispute that. We all know parents influence their children. If not, then all the therapists in the world would be out of a job. So I do congratulate her on that, of saying, I'm at a place in my life, I have the money, I have the means, I have the support. And by support, I mean, you have family or friends or a tribe of people to help you raise the child, because it doesn't always have to be the father who supports or the mother who supports. It could be, your family that supports or your friends. By support, I just mean a community of people who will be there to help you raise the child. That's what I mean by support. And she's buying a $3.1 million house. I hope she has the coin. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy for her to do that. And I think that it's great for people, whether you are a woman or a man or gay or straight or whatever the case is, and you want to be a loving, healthy parent, and you're bringing a child into a safe and stable environment. However you need to do that, I think that's okay. Whether it's surrogacy, whether it's IVF, whether it's adoption, whether it's sperm, no matter what the case is, as long as you yourself are in a healthy, stable place to bring a child in the world, however you do it, that's cool. I'm fine with that. So congratulations, Lala. Good to you. But girl. Tom Schwartz, I don't really have much to say about him. He just looks like wet fish to me. Like he looks like he smells like mildew. I mean, it's late. I'm on one. But he just looks like he smells. Am I the only one who gets that from him? I don't know. Tom Schwartz, I'm tired of him. I'm tired of Joe. Like, stop trying to make Joe happen. And the fact that they're trying to make Joe happen via Allie, it's giving so desperate. Like, Allie, have a personality. Have an opinion. Pick a side. Have your own mind and brain. I don't like Joe, but I want her to feel like she is welcomed in the group. Well, if you don't like her, why do you want her to be welcome in the group? Oh, did the producers tell you that so you could continue to get time on screen? And why are they trying to make Joe happen? She's what? It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Tom Schwartz, I'm tired of you. Tired. Now, Sheena. The only thing I'm going to say to Sheena is, I hope your prenup is ironclad, very smart to get your house only in your name. And Sheena, I need you to tell us the truth about you and Brock. Like, I want Sheena to do a documentary tell-all about the truth about her and her marriage, because something isn't right. I don't believe that her OCD and anxiety is just about Scandival. I think something has happened with Brock in her house that makes her so anxious with the child, with everything. She literally said she didn't want a nanny because she didn't want the nanny to hear her and Brock fighting. That's scary. You don't want to hire a nanny because of how horrible the fights are with your husband that you don't want them to hear? Also scary is how disrespectful Brock was to her at the shop, because the way somebody treats you in public is usually 10 times better than how they treat you in private. So he was that disrespectful to her publicly. Imagine how he treats her privately. And I don't think Brock has gotten any type of help. I'm not saying he has, but any man who has the capability of hitting a woman once, he has the capability of hitting a woman twice. And we already know he did. He got a restraining order. It's on record. This isn't me making anything up. This is on record out of his own mouth. He admitted that he got physical with his baby mama. I'm not saying that people aren't rehabilitated, but someone who hasn't gotten professional help, someone who is still not taking accountability, someone who is still very aggressive verbally. Maybe Sheena shakes like a leaf because she doesn't want to get popped when she gets home. I don't know. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he is. I want to make that very clear because I know Brock is always looking for a buck. Don't come over here trying to sue me for defamation. I'm not defaming you. I'm just talking out loud about options. I'm not saying this is happening, okay? But it looks very toxic. And for her to say on camera, I don't want to bring a nanny in because I don't want somebody to see how we fight. What do you think that means? And this came out of her own mouth. I don't know what episode, but it was this season. And it might have been the episode when they were fighting at the shop. She said, I don't want to bring a nanny because I don't want anybody to see how we fight. That's very scary. Very scary. Sheena girl. There's also the rumor that Brock is sliding into the DMs of some Australian influencer. When you lose him, how you got him. He slid into her DMs. I don't know. All I am saying is this. Brock seems like an opportunist from day one. To me, he looked at Sheena as a cash cow and as his ticket to fame. And so far, that's exactly what she's been. His ticket to fame and his cash cow. And this is another thing. Did you guys catch how Sandoval had to send Sheena thousands and thousands of dollars? I don't know if they ever said a specific amount, but they said thousands of dollars during the pandemic when she was pregnant and not making any money. How did they glean over the entire fact that she had a whole ass man, Brock, baby daddy? Were they married then? Were they married before or after they had the kid? I don't remember. Before, maybe? I don't know. Either way, either a whole ass fiance, baby daddy, husband, whatever the hell he is, in the home. And what was Brock doing? Now, this is the thing. When I say that this is a judgment-free zone, I'm not judging anybody for being on hard times. Whether you are in a marriage or not, you're in a relationship or not, I'm not judging anybody for being on hard times. At some point in life, everybody struggles a little bit, especially during the pandemic. So I'm not judging Sheena and Brock for falling on hard times at all. I don't want that karma coming back to me. No, thank you. I'm not judging that. But I do question, what was Brock doing that Sheena was so stressed out because she had no money? He couldn't work. He couldn't find something to do. He couldn't Uber Eats, or he couldn't do Uber or DoorDash, or I don't know, something, figure it out the way everybody else in the world figures it out when they need some money. I don't know. I don't know. And the reason why I question that is because he comes over to the States, DMs her or whatever to be with her. And then all of a sudden she's investing thousands of dollars into his app that was a bust. Nothing happened with the app. That was a big bust. She probably lost that money. Then he was doing some other stuff. I don't think that other stuff worked out. Then she was saying that he was pitching TV shows. She's like, oh, I think he sold one this week. Well, that would be great. But the only reason why he's getting into those doors, which are very hard to get into, is because of Sheena. So he wants to do this sports app with her money. He wants to do sell these TV shows with her connections. But yet it's the pandemic and she's pregnant with his child, but Tom Sandoval is the one who has to buy them food. I'm really confused how nobody said what was Brock doing. You know what I mean? It's just creepy. It's giving grifter. It's giving the long con. Brock to me is like Todd Tucker. Brock to me, and then all of a sudden Brock's friend, O'Sheen, the guy who like grabbed somebody at Sheena's wedding, is now on Southern Hospitality, another Bravo show. So now he's getting his friends cast on other Bravo shows. And the guy O'Sheen on Southern Hospitality, he's a hot mess. He's always drunk. He's always creating weird content for his fans only account. He's also very, very misogynistic and disrespectful to women, cussing women out on the show. He was cussing these two girls out so much that the other guys had to step in and say, dude, you need to calm down. Like, you need to like really check yourself. There is nothing more disgusting than a man trying to cuss out a woman. It's the most disgusting, weird, pathetic, gross thing ever. You ever see a man trying to cuss out a woman? That is so disgusting. But O'Sheen was wasted was cussing out these two women, Mia and the other girl, cussing him out. And the other guys were like, dude, you need to stop. Because that's what an actual alpha man is. An actual alpha male in reality and in biology, the actual role of an alpha man is not to check women. The role of the alpha male is to check other men, to keep the other men in line. So the actual alpha men of the group, not O'Sheen, because that's not being an alpha man cussing out a woman. That's not alpha. That is women hating. That's toxic. That's unhealthy. That's insecure. But the alpha men did their jobs and they checked him and they protected the women. That's what a real alpha man do. They don't hurt women. They don't check women. They don't cuss women out. They protect a woman. That's a real alpha man. A real alpha man is a provider and a protector of women, and he checks and keeps in line other men. That's a true alpha male. So the fact, when I realized or found out that O'Sheen, shout out to Natasha, I think she was the one who told me that O'Sheen and Brock were friends, it all made sense. Because they're both very, you know how there's BDE? They have LDE. Figure it out, guys. Where it's a lot of huffing and puffing and yelling and cussing women and being really mean to women. Think about how Tom Sandoval treats Katie and treats Lala and treated Stassi. Think about how Brock treats Sheena. Very, very disgusting. Very, very disgusting. That's right, Lucy. Yup. And like Jax too. Very disgusting. So that's kind of where I land on these guys. I'm going to keep watching. Honestly, at this point, just out of like, not curiosity, not even curiosity, but I guess just out of like nostalgia, or I don't know what the word is, obligation, I don't know. But I hope this is the last season. I'm going to try to keep watching. I might check out of it, but that's kind of where I stand. I think the Vanderpump Rules series should be a wrap. Like, this is it, guys. There's nowhere else to go that makes any sense. It just needs to kind of bow out gracefully. It's already outstayed its welcome. You know what I mean? But I'm going to keep watching because I do feel, exactly, Lucy, I feel like obligated. I feel like obligated to watch. So I'm going to keep watching. Hopefully it gets better, but let's just let this be the swan song. All right. So with that, you guys, keep stay tuned because I'm going to do Real Housewives of Potomac, but be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, I'm going to take a quick drink. I'm going to pop a cough drop. So if I'm sucking on a cough drop, I hope it doesn't annoy you. But I've been talking for an hour and a half. Okay. All right. Okay, let's do Potomac real quick. Child. Even Andy, or the producers in his ear, because as we know, Andy doesn't actually prepare for anything, which is really sad. At the reunion was like, this season was hard to watch. It wasn't that interesting. Accountability was the word of the night. It was just a mess. But Potomac has been really, really, really hard to watch. And to be honest with you, I think that they should put the show on a pause and recast the entire cast. They could probably keep Karen. And that's it. They could keep Karen, and that's pretty much it. So let's go down the list. Ashley Darby. How does she keep a job? Ashley, to me, is messy. She doesn't really talk about her life. She does it in a way where you think she does, but she really doesn't. Like, what's really going on with her and Michael? She says they're getting a divorce, but then she says she rubs his feet every night. It's like I said before. I called this 2 years ago when she first said that they were separating. I said that is a lie. I don't think for 1 second Ashley and Michael are separated. I think that Michael did not want to film. I don't think he wanted his life on the show. He didn't want his face on the show. He didn't want anything on the show because it started to affect his business. With all the allegations against him of like inappropriate touching, and when Candiace was like, oh, you hired this, male escort for sex and everything like that. I think when all of that started to come out, it started to affect his business. Michael Darby has a lot of real estate, a lot of business. He actually has a lot of money. He is actually really, really rich. And I think once it started to affect his bottom line, he didn't want to film anymore. But Ashley did. She wants her 15 minutes. She wants her little Bravo coin. And I think they compromised with, let's just say we're separating and buy me a house for me and the kids to film in. You keep our penthouse. And because we're separating, then you don't have to film anymore. And you don't have to be accountable anymore. And then production can't be mad at me because we're not together anymore. And I think that's what they did. I don't think this divorce or separation was ever real. I think they have an open marriage where she can still go out and do her little thing with her little Lukes and this and that. He can still go out and have his little hotel tryst and hang out with Juan and do what he wants to do. I don't think anybody's cheating. I think they have an open arrangement, because how is this woman saying, I'm divorcing him, we're separated, I'm doing me, but then she says I rub his feet every single night. How do you rub his feet every single night if you live in 2 separate homes? How do you rub his feet every night if you allegedly live in 2 different houses? Make it make sense. He bought her that house to film in. Point blank, period. That was her filming house. You can come here, you can kick it with the girls, you can film, because I'm not letting them in the penthouse anymore. That's why when they're on the FaceTime and he thought he was on camera, it ended the call because he doesn't want to be affiliated. He doesn't be on the show anymore because he doesn't want it to affect his bottom line, aka his money. Right? So that, to me, that was a big fat lie. Big old lie. They're not separated. They're not getting divorced. Come on, call a thing a thing. Also with Ashley, I don't understand why no one sees that the entire reason why Nneka and Wendy had a falling out was because of Ashley. She was the one who sat with Nneka and was like, "Oh, I saw this article about Wendy being Oshun or whatever it is, that they're like cursed or they're like outcast or something." And Nneka was like, "Oh, really? Well, like we're not," or whatever it was. And then at Wendy's, or no, then at her housewarming party, Wendy's like, "Oh, I hope we can be friends. Ashley, we've always liked you. And like, I've always liked you and just like have my back." Ashley felt really guilty. And then she threw Nneka under the bus. And then somehow that turned into Wendy and Nneka being two Nigerian women hating each other. What? Like, I'm confused. She started that whole thing, but at the end of the day, Ashley started it. But how come Wendy with her 4 degrees and Nneka being a lawyer, how come none of them had two common senses between the two of them? They didn't have two brain cells to rub against each other to say, "Hey, wait a minute. We actually should not be fighting each other. There's nothing that actually for us to fight about." And I blame, out of Wendy and Nneka, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I blame Wendy the most for continuing the BS. I do. I blame Wendy the most because Nneka really was trying to move past it and get over it. And Wendy kept being weird about everything. No, you need to do, like, Wendy, shut up. Like, your mom, and this is the thing. I believe Nneka. I do think Wendy's mom submitted her name to her shrine and did all that stuff, just like she said she did. I do. I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody's mother. Don't submit my name to any shrine. If you do, it's going to come back to you 1,000-fold because Jesus loves me, okay? So Wendy's family, don't try and come at me with any voodoo, hoodoo stuff. It's going to come back at you 1,000-fold because I got God and Jesus, okay? Because I believe Nneka, I do. This is the thing. They should have just sat down and talked. And where Wendy really messed up was she did not have a conversation with Nneka alone and first. She just took what Wendy said, because quiet as kept, I do believe there was a little bit of jealousy on Wendy's side with Nneka, that there was another Nigerian, beautiful, educated, married woman coming into the group. I do. I'm not saying it was like a malicious jealousy. I think it was more of like a normal jealousy. Like, wait a minute, there's somebody coming in the group that's just like me. Wait a minute. Like, I can see having like a normal, almost like jealousy about it. Now, where it gets being taken too far is how they took it too far, right? I do think that Wendy should not have just believed Ashley, because I do think Wendy took what Ashley said. She went back to her family, and her mom made the calls, her sister made the calls, and I do believe what Nneka said about it. Where Wendy with her 4 degrees messed up was trust but verify. Check your sources. Cite your sources. If it were me and someone's coming to me with some BS that somebody allegedly said about me, I'm doing one of two things. One, it's either going in one ear and I'm going to store it in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to act on it. I'm just going to keep it there and I'm going to see how people move. Or two, I'm going to go directly to that person, not angry, not disrespect, not accusatory, but just having a conversation of, "Hey, listen, this is what I was told. I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I just want to understand what exactly happened from your perspective, because I need to know who's telling me the truth," right? Because if somebody's carrying you, if a dog is carrying you a bone, it's because they're a dog. You see what I'm saying? So you got to check the carrier. And if Wendy would have just stopped for 1 second and called Nneka and said, "Hey, listen, Ashley just said you said this. I'm not accusing you of anything, but I want to know from your perspective what happened and what was said," then this whole weird, unnecessary BS about Nigerian girls fighting. Like that was also another story narrative that I was just like, stop. This has nothing to do with Nigerian on Nigerian crime. There's nothing to do with black on black crime. This is just a group of messy women who are gossiping about each other and not checking their sources. Can we please leave the whole Nigerian crap at the door? Can we please leave the whole black girl crap at the door? It's nothing to do with that. This is just a group of women being messy as hell. But when people don't want to take accountability, then they want to add those labels to it. No, they do this crap at Beverly Hills. They do this stuff on Roni. They do this in the OC. They do it in Dallas. They do it in every other franchise. They do it in Atlanta. So stop. It's just a group of messy women being messy. That's all that it is. Stop. Stop, 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 stop. So that's why I blame Wendy more, because she should have done her due diligence. Why would you ever trust Ashley? You know what I'm saying? But that's why I believe that there was a little bit of jealousy there. Not necessarily jealousy in a bad way, but as humans, we do have that sort of like, oh, wait a minute, there's a girl just like me coming on. Wait, what? Like it's just that's just like a human thing. Doesn't mean it's bad. But I think it was there. And I think Ashley hit that insecure nerve in Wendy about NECA. So then when Ashley said that to Wendy, she grabbed onto it without actually going to NECA and verifying it. That's sort of how I feel about that. So to me, Ashley can go. She's bored. She's boring and bored. She doesn't bring anything really to the show. She's a pot stirrer and she's messy, but we could find somebody else to do that. Wendy, I hate to say it, but 4 degrees can go too. Because it's like, I like Eddie. I like her cute little kids. I like her family. But Wendy, to me, this season, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. I think she could go. I think Wendy could go. Because the whole NECA and it just got out of control. It was just too much. To me, Wendy can go. Now, Candiace, as we know, Candiace quit. And I do think she quit. I don't think she was fired. I think Candiace quitting was very, very smart. Because the women on this show, particularly Ashley and Giselle and Robyn, has shown Candiace time and time again that there is something in them that wants to destroy her. I think it's rooted in toxic jealousy. Not the little jealousy I was just talking about. I mean our true jealousy. Because I don't care what anybody says. Candiace is a beautiful girl. She's very, very intelligent. She has lacked emotional intelligence a lot, but I do think that she has grown on me because she has worked on herself and she is doing better. And she is taking more accountability. Because you can be intelligent all day long, which she is, but this little girl got on this show in the beginning and lacked any type of emotional intelligence you could ever have in the world. The way she talked on social media, the way she behaved on the show, she lacked a lot of emotional intelligence. There was a lot of insecurity, a lot of pick me energy, a lot of validate me energy, but I do think that she's gone to therapy and she's working on herself and she's getting better and she's grown on me. I think she's grown on a lot of people. She's not everybody's cup of tea, but I do think she's gotten better. And I love to see it. I love to see people evolve and grow, as we all should. We all have to work on it. None of us have been as emotionally intelligent as we are today without working on it. So I give her that. But these women have come for so much with her. What they did to Chris was disgusting and wrong. Giselle still barely taking accountability. I didn't say he forced me. You said he made me go into a hotel room. And the thing is, just like Karen said, words matter. And it was about the insinuation. It was about the insinuation. Giselle insinuated that Chris did something sexually inappropriate towards her. Whether that was making her go into a hotel room, Whether it was, oh, we were the only people there, how he made me feel uncomfortable. And the problem, the huge, huge problem with this, and Mia, and I'm trying to give Mia grace because she was brave enough to share what happened to her. But for her to be like, that's not assault, that's not sexual assault, I wouldn't consider it that. Shut up, Mia. As a survivor, you should be way more cognizant to what you're saying, because this is the problem. I'm going to break it down. Giselle used every single buzzword when it comes to SA. He made me. I felt uncomfortable. All of these things. That, whether or not she said he did something to me or forced me, this is the problem with her now trying to backtrack and being like, I didn't insinuate anything, I didn't say anything, is that when it happens for real in real life, all of the markers of your body, your intuition, telling you that something is dangerous, or someone is dangerous. When you feel that someone is making you do something, when you have that uncomfortable feeling, which is usually your intuition telling you, watch out for this person, get away, get out, this isn't safe, then that person might feel, if they're like looking to you, I don't know who's looking to Giselle, but in general, that somehow those feelings are invalid, because now you're trying to backtrack on what you said before was so pervasive, but now you're trying to dismiss it, when all of those are warning signs and markings and buzzwords and dog whistles and ear tags to what that is. Then you make it harder for women who are truly, or men or children who are really in those situations, to say, you know what, this person makes me feel uncomfortable. This person made me go in this room or do whatever. It doesn't even have to be, quote, sexual. It can still be invasive. It can still feel wrong. It can still be coercive. It's going to make it 1,000 times harder for those people to speak out, because sometimes somebody saying, this person gives me a bad feeling, could be the one thing that's going to save the next person's life, or save the next person from being abused, or save the next person from being assaulted. If someone just says, this person gives me a bad feeling, this person makes me feel uncomfortable. But for Giselle to now turn around and act like what she was saying wasn't what she said is disgusting, because that is what she insinuated. So on multiple levels, it's wrong. One, you're going to now make people feel like, well, he only made me feel uncomfortable, so maybe I'm overreacting. Well, it's not really assault. Well, it's not really this. Well, you're going to make people gaslight themselves. Well, I'm going to ungaslight everybody. I'm telling you, if you feel in your heart, in your stomach, in your gut, something is wrong, or you feel uncomfortable, get out of that situation. I don't care who it is. Don't worry about offending anybody. Don't worry about looking crazy. Don't worry about not knowing. If your gut is telling you something is wrong, it is wrong, and get out of the situation any way you have to. I got to go to the bathroom. My friend is waiting for me. My mom just called me. I'm feeling really sick right now. I need to go to the hospital. Do whatever you got to do to get out that situation. Listen to your gut, and don't let weird, fake, idiotic, disgusting women like Giselle make you feel like your feelings don't matter. And Mia, for that fact, which I was shocked when she said that, because I know she's on the show said she was a survivor. And when you talk to people like that, or even people who have close calls or something really bad has happened to them, they always say, something in me said something was wrong. Something in me told me to leave. Something in me told me not to go. Something in me told me not to stay. They always say that. Something told me something was wrong. I got a bad feeling about this person. So for Giselle to now act like that's not what she was trying to say when that's what she was trying to say is disgusting. And I think Candiace 1,000% did the right thing by leaving the show, because Potomac has gotten dangerous on every level. It's gotten dangerous on a professional level. I don't know who wants to hire those people. It's gotten dangerous on an emotional level. Look what they did to her marriage, and look what it did to Chris. He was clearly depressed about the whole situation. It's dangerous on a financial level. Chris said he lost work and everything. And it's also dangerous on a physical level because I don't believe Ashley. You got to watch out. I wouldn't be surprised if Ashley and Deborah was setting Candiace up to get jumped. Because why did Ashley bring Deborah there in the first place? And then when you listen to the audio, Deborah clearly comes to Candiace and is like, oh, you saying stuff, blah, 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 da, 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 and how it escalated so quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if they were setting Candiace up to get jumped. Notice how she waited until the cameras were down when they thought they were wrapped. Because this is what doesn't make sense. Everyone is saying, oh, Deborah came there because she wanted attention. She wanted attention. If Deborah wanted attention, why didn't she check Candiace when the cameras were there? I do think she came there with an agenda, but I don't think the agenda was attention. I think the agenda was to jump Candiace. I don't know if the women are smart enough to catch on to that. I don't even know if Candiace caught on to that. But to me, I was like, oh, they said they want to jump Candiace. Because if she only wanted attention, why did she wait till the cameras were down to approach her? She approached her when she thought they weren't being filmed. She approached her when she thought they weren't being taped. That's why it's only audio, because producers were being sneaky as hell. Oh, we're wrapped for the day. If you're wrapped for the day, then how come you still had audio rolling? See that you can't trust the producers either. Oh, we're wrapped for the day. Finish up. We're done. If you're done, why is the microphone still rolling? See, you gotta think about this stuff. You gotta think about this. Deborah clearly thought the show's over. If I want attention, I'm checking you in front of the camera. I'm checking you to get my screen time. We're gonna have our little fight so I can make sure I get my screen time. But if I come to actually mess you up, if I come to actually fight you, I'm gonna make sure it's off camera. See, you got to really think about this stuff. She didn't come for attention. She came to jump Candiace. Maybe Candiace figured it out, and that's why Candiace is really leaving the show. I think she should leave the show because it's too dangerous at this point. It's too dangerous. That one girl, Kia, got knocked in the head, either with like a bottle or something, and she had to go get stitches. Come on. What is it going to take? What is it really going to take? And this is the thing. Bravo is trash because I am sure there's going to be in the reunion some topic about, oh, us as Black women, we don't want to be violent. We don't want to show that. Bravo doesn't condone violence. But when the white boys, and the only reason why I'm bringing up race is because it actually is pertinent to this conversation. But when the white boys of Southern Charm, Austin and JT, they same exact situation. Except for on camera. It was the finale party of this season of Southern Charm. Austin and JT were fighting, first arguing back and forth. You know what I'm saying? They were arguing back and forth. Dude, no, dude. Blah, 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 blah. Austin got pissed. He pushed Austin in his chest, like bucking up. He pushed him when he was standing on some like stool thing. He almost fell off the stool. Then they got to tussling. And then JT head-butted Austin. This was a full-on physical bar fight. These two men had been drinking all day. They were fighting verbally, and then they started fighting physically to the point where JT head-butted Austin. Did we get any type of memo from Bravo that they don't condone violence? Did we get any type of conversation from Austin and JT that they don't want to represent white men as violent, and this is not how they want to represent the white people of the world as violent? Did we get any of that? At the reunion, this is how sick it was. Andy was laughing about it with Austin, laughing about it. And he was giving JT a little bit of a hard time when JT was the victim. Austin, who Andy likes, because we know how Andy has his favorites. Andy likes Austin, maybe more, hey, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. None of my business. But clearly, Andy really likes Austin. Austin was the aggressor physically. We talk about Candiace being the aggressor verbally. He was the aggressor physically. He hit JT first. But Andy was giving it more to JT because he likes JT less than he likes Austin. There was no conversation about violence. There was no conversation about white violent culture. There was no conversation about anything. They were kikiing and laughing and hoot and the holler about these two men fighting. But when it's the Black girls that are fighting, it's a totally different story. It's ghetto. It's Black women are violent. This isn't who we are. This isn't love and hip hop. It's a completely different story when the Black girls are fighting versus than when the white guys are fighting. And at the end of the day, it is simply violence. It's not a Black thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a male thing. It's not a female thing. It's a human thing. Human beings, regardless of race or gender, have the propensity to be violent. The problem is when you treat one group of people differently than another group of people for having the same exact human reaction. That is what the problem is. So if Andy Cohen on any parts of this reunion has the audacity to come at these women for their violence, I'm going to have a problem with that, because go watch Southern Charm reunion. No, watch the last episode first. Watch these boys fight and then watch Andy laugh about it. He had a good kiki with Austin about it and was going at JT when JT was the victim. JT was defending himself. But because Andy doesn't like JT the way he likes Austin, he was making JT the bad guy when JT was defending himself. That is really what the problem is. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I'm not saying either group is right, because it's not right. Violence in any form is wrong. But it's a human reaction. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how much melanin you have in your body or not, we're all human beings. And violence is a human reaction. That's why you have violence in every single group of human beings in the world, because it's a human reaction. And that's why it should be treated equally across all humans, not just pick and choose which humans get to be violent and which humans don't. Andy can go too. Now that I'm thinking about it, Andy needs to go. He does. He has no business hosting reunions. Did you notice at the reunion where he was looking at the card? He goes, "Oh, this is a good question. In my mind, I've done hosting before. Way back in the day. In my mind, or anything, really, anything you do, how do you not prepare? How is it the first time you're reading these questions for a reunion is on the stage while they're taping the reunion?" He does the same thing with Watch What Happens Live. How do you not prepare? I would be all out of sorts. I would be like, give me all the questions. Let me go through my cards. Okay, let me add this. Let me take this out. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you want to be prepared. You want to be in your groove. But you can tell that he's reading these cards for the first time. For the first time. He needs to stop. And he has all these lawsuits against him. Nene sued him. Leah sued him. All these people. Like, Not that I necessarily co-signed those lawsuits, because I do think that a lot of it was for self-aggrandizing, you know what I'm saying? Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's for a whole nother video. But I do think that Andy needs to be put on pause for a bit, because he's all over the place, but he's not doing anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you're spread so thin, you're not thick anywhere, you know? I think he should just focus on, he can keep his little Watch What Happens live show. That's a little cute thing. He can keep that. He's doing some show on Peacock about dating. I haven't watched it, so I don't care if he keeps that or not, because I don't watch that. But he needs to let the housewives go. He doesn't have any power anymore. He hasn't had any power in a very long time. He doesn't choose who gets fired. He doesn't choose who get hired. There is the perception that he has that power, but he doesn't. I was watching Watch What Happens Live. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it, with Claudia Jordan and maybe it was Wendy. Maybe it was Wendy and Claudia. And I could tell that Andy had completely forgotten that Claudia used to be on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I could tell that he truly had completely forgotten that. Completely. It was crazy. But anyway, Andy needs to be put on pause. I think the network will. I don't think they'll do it right now, because they don't want to show any type of kink in their armor as long as the lawsuits are pending or whatever it is. It's almost like when somebody messes up at the job and the corporate people keep that person on the job until they see their way clear, and then they'll fire that person, but they don't want to fire that person right away because it kind of shows liability. Do you know what I mean? But I think they're gonna phase Andy out. I really do. I think they're gonna phase her out. Okay. So that's Candiace. Candiace, I wish you well. I think you are doing great with your little acting and singing. Whether or not Candiace and Chris make it, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure if Candiace and, her husband is Chris. Yeah, Chris Bassett. I'm not sure they're going to make it or not. I hope they do. But there seems to be a lot of tension, a lot of reversals of resentment. Like when he was booked and busy, she resented him. Then when she was booked and busy, he resented her. And then with the whole Giselle thing, that probably has a lot of problems in their marriage. She's now putting on hold having a child to focus on her career, where again, it's 2024. You really could do your music and still have a child, and do your acting and still have a child. You know, it's almost like a cool thing. Not that I'm trying to make a child an accessory, but y'all know what I mean. So I think, I don't know. I think the decision not to have children is because I think they're trying to figure out if they're going to stay together. You know, that's kind of what I think. Adam says, am I going to drop the StreamYard link? Yes. Do you want to come up? I'll drop it in a second. I'm going to get through Potomac and then I'll drop it. Okay. So Candiace, I wish you well. And I think it's really, really smart for you to get out now, because Potomac franchise is a burning ship. Mia. Messy Mia. I'm going to tell y'all what I think about this chick. I feel so bad for Gordon. I love G. I don't think Mia ever loved him. I think when she said, I married him for the money, I think she was telling the truth. I think the moment she was able to get her own coin through the show and through the platform of the show, and then when he fell on hard times with his family business and everything that happened, I think she was ready to leave. And the reason why I think she doesn't want him to fight his family isn't because she doesn't want the fight or think about what he did. It's because she's done with him, because she no longer needs him. And the fact that she is now dating the radio personality guy who she was messing with for years, Mia, you're stupid. I'm not name calling. I actually mean you're stupid. Because what I mean by that is, if this man, this DJ personality, has never truly committed to you, but has had sex with you while you've been single, engaged, and married, but never committed to you, who thinks one of your children is his child, but has never fought to find out, why would you, now that you have this platform, now that you're making your own money, now that you're a public figure, and now he sees that he can use you for a come up, why would you go back and choose him? I'm not saying you have to stay with Gordon. If you're not in love with him, let him go. Because Gordon is going through a lot. Gordon is, in my mind, like she said on the show, I think he's depressed. He's clearly depressed. He admitted that he had some health issues. You know, God bless him. He talked about his prostate, which he basically was like, I had some prostate issues when I turned 70. Some things weren't working, AKA he probably couldn't perform sexually. And that's when he said to Mia, you know, if you want to find someone who can satisfy you sexually, I'm okay with that because I'm sick. Like, did you guys really understand what happened in their marriage? I think she weaponizes, oh, he wanted threesomes and he wanted this and I didn't want that anymore. I think she weaponizes that as an excuse to make herself the victim, to make it easier to leave him. When the truth is, Mia, in my opinion, you're not in love with him and the well has run dry and you're ready to cut bait because he no longer serves your agenda. I'm not saying you have to be with a man you don't love, but you are stupid as hell to be with a man who used you for sex for over a decade, never claimed you, never fought for you, never claimed this alleged child, but now all of a sudden wants to claim you and be with you now that you're on a TV show. And you want to play in our face and act like we're stupid, that we're going to fall for some high school sweethearts, star-crossed lover BS. No, he used you for sex for over a decade. And now you're on a TV show and he wants to be famous with you, little radio personality person, wants some of your fame. Now he wants to claim you because he wants to be on TV with you. We're not stupid, Mia. You are. And I'm not name calling. I mean stupid, because that is a stupid thing to do. It's a stupid thing to put your children through, and it's the stupid thing to do to yourself, because he's going to use you the way he's been using you, and then he's going to do to you what you did to Gordon. The moment the well is dry, the moment you no longer serve him, he's going to leave you and cut bait, just like he did to Gordon. The problem is you're messing with these little kids. If it was just you, Mia, knock yourself out. But you got some beautiful kids. And Gordon said that. He goes, why are the kids coming being like, mommy wants to replace you. Mommy's with him. Mommy's sleeping with this person. You're messing with the kids. That's the problem. I hope you had a conversation with your son, Jeremiah, about his paternity before you had it on national television. Did you talk to your son about how his father is being questioned? Because I'm pretty sure he believes Gordon is his father. And I'm pretty sure it's going to mess with his head that now all of a sudden mommy's boyfriend is daddy. What? Did you talk to your child about this before you talked about it on national television? Well, how come you haven't gotten a paternity test? Because based on the previews, you haven't gotten a paternity test. Why? Number one, Mia, and not to put the most onus on the mother, but that's the society we live in. As a mother, you don't want to know who your baby's father is? You don't want to know? And secondly, stop pretending like this DJ person actually loves you or your maybe child or not. Because a real man, if he thought he had a child out there, would fight tooth and nail to find out. You could get a court order. If he truly thought that boy was his son, and if he truly wanted to be a father to that child, he could get a court-ordered paternity test to find out if that child was really his or not. Because if he was a real man who really wanted to be with you and really wanted to be a father, he would have got a court-ordered test to find out. But yet there's no paternity test. But allegedly this is your meant to be man forever. Girl, bye. Girl, bye. Bye, 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 bye. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You're not going to piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Mia, you're not going to paint this man as like your high school love and when I'm ready, he would be there. Men don't work like that. Women do. Men don't. And I'm not being sexist. I'm talking about like hardwiring. Obviously, there's different situations for different people. We know nuance. This is the candy cane group. We know nuance. So there's obviously levels and nuance to it. But speaking stereotypically, women might wait and just be there for the man. But stereotypically, if a man wants that woman, he's going to do everything he can to get her. He's not going to wait 20 or 2 decades, have sex with her whenever he wants to, whether she's single, engaged, or married, or whatever, and just wait until she just so happens to be on a TV show, and then all of a sudden he's going to do everything in his power to be with her. Is he doing everything in his power to be with you, or is he doing everything in his power to be on TV? Because he sure as hell isn't doing anything in his power to be a father to that boy if he really is the father. So girl, bye. Bye. No, Mia, miss me with all of that. Justice for Gordon and justice for the children. Because I feel really bad for Gordon. I think he was trying to give Mia the world. I think he thought, because again, stereotypically speaking, a lot of male, self-esteem and bravado and ego comes in being able to sexually please his woman or his wife, right? I'm just talking, pejoratively. We know that there's different levels to everything. And I think, like he said, which was really sad, and if you caught it, you caught it. He's like, when I was 70, I had prostate issues. So I think that he felt less of a provider, less of a protector, less of a man, because he wasn't able to perform for her. So maybe he did do some shady business stuff to keep the money coming in. Because like Mia said, she married him for his money. So he probably thought, the way I keep her is to buy her and to let her have sex with other men, as long as she stays with me. And that was really sad. And that's basically what he said at in the finale. I'm still willing to work on this. I told you could go do what you wanted. Just don't do it in public, and don't go with the children. Just stay with me. And it's really, really sad. And I feel really, really bad for Gordon. I really do. He deserved better. Justice for Gordon. Okay. Miss Karen. I love Karen. She's the anchor of the show. She's the best. She's super level-headed. And you can tell with Karen, she is just doing everything she can to keep all the women in check, to keep the show going. I think Karen's number one agenda is to keep the show going, not to get the show canceled and not to get kicked off the show. I think that's Karen's number one agenda. And she is just, Miss T says Gordon is still playing along. Do you see him at the reunion? Yes, that's what I mean. Like, I think that it's so sad. Like, Gordon is so broken and so depressed, and I think desperate, and I think he still has the delusional hope that she will come back to him. You know? And I think that's why he's like, you can do what you want. Like, I'm trying to get this money for you. You can have sex with whoever you want. Just like, don't leave me. Like, that's so sad. And like, how disrespectful, where you have Gordon, who is still your husband, father of your children, until proven otherwise, sitting here FaceTiming with the guy who is claiming to be the father of his son, and who is the man who is now having sex with his wife publicly. How degrading. How degrading. And you see Gordon smiling and just, oh, hey, man. And yeah, okay, dude. And I'm sure he's just going to have Mia's back, and he's going to have her back, and delusional and all this stuff. My heart goes out to Gordon. I'm a little fearful for him. There's just a deep sadness to him. I'm fearful for him. I'm fearful for him. Prayers up for Gordon. Karen just wants to keep the show going. I think Karen and Giselle had a powwow. They had a ponderosa. They had a powwow where they were like, what can we do to keep this show from getting canceled and staying on the air? I think they had a ceasefire. I think any of the stuff back and forth between Karen and Giselle in the show, I think that they were both in on it. And I think they both got together and said, how can we keep the show on? And I think Karen says, I'm going to babysit Wendy and Candiace. I think Giselle said, I'm going to babysit Robyn and Ashley. I think Mia was just in the mix, and Nneka was just in the mix, So, yeah. I love Karen. No notes for her. She's great. She's doing it and dipping it and doing it. So good for her. I love her. Giselle can go. We're just going to float over and pretend like she didn't have a complete fake relationship with the guy Jason from Winter House. Like, we're just going to pretend that it never happened. What happened to Jason? What happened to that storyline? He just disappeared. Like, they just disappeared. They just stopped talking about it. There was no resolution. Did they break up? Did they not break up? It would just act like it never happened. I almost forgot it happened. We're just going to pretend that happened. She's another one who uses her children for story. Don't get me wrong. All the kids are cute. Yay. But when your children are your complete storyline, it gets to be too much. And sure, the girls are cute. It's a beat. But I don't need to see the kids every single scene. I don't. Get some friends your own age. And talk to friends your own age about your life, and because that's what the show is. And also, I am an adult, and I would rather watch adults talk about their lives than watch children talk about their lives, because I am not a child. So there's that. And also, like, I think it's cute for the kids to come, but I want to protect the kids too. Like, let the kids be kids. And a lot of times you see on these shows, the children are usually very parenthesized. What I mean by that, I hope I'm saying it correctly, parenthesized, not parentheses, but like made to be parents. They usually act very adult. They're usually all very mature. They usually are always giving their mothers advice. Usually that's because these women are very narcissistic. And so they treat their children like their best friends rather than children. So you see this dynamic with Teresa and her children, with Kyle and her children, with Giselle and her children. You see it a lot with certain people, and the majority of these women with their children. Ramona and her daughter. You see it where the children are usually the ones, Shannon even, are usually the ones counseling the mothers. Do you notice that? I hate to see it. I hate to see it. Let the kids be the kids, okay? Let the kids be the kids. Giselle can go. She took basically like her not talking to Candiace about the colorism, to me was a load of crap. And I have the unpopular opinion. I don't agree with Candiace. I don't think that there's colorism on Potomac. I'm not going to get too far in that conversation, but I don't see it. I don't think it's colorism. Do I think there's favoritism? Yes. Do I think there's likability issues? Yes. But do I think it's colorism? No. So I actually don't agree with Candiace on this. But on the other hand, I think Giselle needs to stop lying and acting like it's the whole colorism, death threats crap. That is the reason why she's so mad at Candiace. No, you just don't like Candiace. And you're mad because your whole take down Chris narrative blew up in your face and everybody saw you for the fake, phony, boring, tired out, dry liar that you are. And you got caught and it blew up in your face because you were looking for a moment in a storyline and you got caught in multiple lies and you don't like it. And you're clearly jealous of Candiace. I'm not a Candiace defender by any means either. I just call it like I see it. I think Giselle is deeply jealous of Candiace. I do. I really, really do. I think Giselle is deeply jealous of a lot of women. I think she's deeply jealous of Wendy too. That is why you didn't want to talk to her this season. Don't act like it's because of your colorism comments, my children. And girl, shut up, please. You probably have gotten more hate over your ex-husband, baby daddy, Jamal Bryant out here in these streets, dipping it and doing it and having 20 kids on it in the congregation and whatever else he's going to be caught doing. You probably have gotten a lot more stuff over him than you have over Candiace's comments. Okay? So that's where I fall. I don't agree with Candiace on colorism, but I don't agree with Giselle that was such a big deal in her world that she can never talk to Candiace again. Like, shut up, Giselle. You just just say, you know what, Candiace, I don't like you. Just admit it. You don't like her. But the reason why you don't like her is because in your core, you're jealous of her. Candiace is beautiful. She's talented. She has a husband. She has a cute coin. I think a lot of the women are jealous of her. But because Candiace has been very pick-me, she does have a very pick-me energy. She needs a lot of validation. She's very insecure herself. That there's this sort of weird dichotomy of I'm jealous of this person, but I also don't respect this person. So it's like a weird dichotomy there. And the reason why there's no respect there, I think Candiace is getting better at it, but because Candiace didn't respect herself. You can be as smart as Albert Einstein, but if you don't validate yourself without seeking the validation, because a lot of reason why Candiace is so hurt all the time is because she wants to be picked and she wants to be chosen. Like, for example, with Robyn's like, well, if you think that I'm such a horrible person who would set your husband up, because she did, why do you want to be friends with me? And that's a valid point. Because I wouldn't be boohooing and crying and wishing somebody would forgive me or apologize to me or get my friend back if I thought that they would set up my husband. Doesn't mean I agree with Robyn because I do think that there was some sort of conversation, cahoots of who are we going to target this season to take the heat off of ourselves. Was it explicit? We're going to go after Chris and Candiace? I think it was. But this is a thing, because karma always comes back. When Candiace was friends with Monique way back in the day. She was a part of the Ponderosa powwow when all of the girls got together, Giselle and Robyn and everybody else. And they're like, oh, we're going to go after Monique and her husband, Chris, and the paternity of her child and all this stuff. Candiace did not go back and tell Monique that, and they were supposed to be good friends. Candiace went and told Karen, and Karen was the one who told Monique. So Candiace knows this is how this group gets down because she used to be a part of how the group got down. So when she says, I think you guys plotted to take down me and my husband and make up these lies, I believe her, and she knows it's true because she was in the plot, but it wasn't her. It was Monique and Chris. Giselle, girl bye. Robyn, girl bye. Robyn's been fired. Word on the street. She will not be returning. I could have told you that because everyone said, why did Bravo bring Robyn back after her and Juan lied? And the whole Patreon and the girl from Canada and all that stuff. And I said, of course they brought her back because they don't look at these women as human beings. They look at them as investments. How can I get a return on my investment? That's what they look at these women as. So if you put on your executive producer hat, you're going to bring Robyn back because you want your pound of flesh. You want her to come back with Juan, but you want them to come back and spill it. You want them to come back and talk about the cheating and the women and the SA allegations and him getting fired and what's really happening and the Canada woman. They want their pound of flesh. By pound of flesh, I mean they want their money. They're not going to cut bait on Robyn when she's a trending topic and everybody's talking about what happened and are they going to stay together and is he cheating? Is it true or not? The problem is the reason why they cut bait this time was because they did not get a return on their investment. I think that they were very clear with Robyn. You come back, you need to be transparent. And she was not. She stayed and she lied through her teeth. Juan lied through his teeth. They deflected. We don't care. It's all good. So she came back and she continued to lie. And that's why she got fired this time. But it was very clear that the producers told them, you need to get Robyn to tell the truth. That's why you had Giselle, her green-eyed bandit best friend, first time ever in life, actually question Robyn. That's why they had their little intervention with Charisse and Ashley, because the executives wanted a return on their investment because they don't look at these women as people, they look at them as investments. So they will use you as long as they get a return on you. But when you stop producing, they will cut bait. And the fact that Juan did not show up at the reunion, that right there, you knew she got the pink slip. I mean, Juan should have showed up at the reunion if they wanted to keep this little Bravo cute coin coming in. He should have showed up at the reunion. And Robyn, if she is incapable of an emotion, she should at least pretended. But this whole, I don't care, he didn't do it, why are you coming after me, blah, 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 this attitude, this staunchness, this, pretending like the world is against them and they're innocent, that narrative and BS isn't going to fly. And she tested it and she effed around and found out. And that's why she's fired. But of course they're going to bring her back because they wanted a return on that investment. They didn't get the return. She got fired, which is good. Okay, Nneka. Ugh. Nneka. She's a no for me. And to be honest with you, I actually like her. I know it might be an unpopular opinion, but I like her. I think she's really pretty. I like her I like her style. I think she has good like clothes style. I think she's fun. She would do like a good like boozy brunch, a good dinner, shopping, home decor. I actually really like her. I think she's like a really like fun girl. The problem is it's almost an Anna Marie problem from Beverly Hills. When you come into the group and you let somebody else set your agenda, you let somebody else wind you up. And that somebody else was Ashley. And then you spend your entire season not connecting to the audience, not connecting to the other women, but fighting a battle that was never yours. Nneka and Wendy should have never been fighting. That was not their fight. It was a fight that they chose for whatever stupid reason. If Nneka would have for 1 second said, you know what? Ashley was the one who came to me with this BS. Let me just chill out. Because if I was Nneka and Ashley came to me with that and it was like a normal conversation and then Wendy went crazy and went to her family and they're doing voodoo and shrines and all this other crap, to be honest with you, if I was Nneka, I would not have brought it to the show. I would have, shout out to Wendy Williams, that would have been kitchen table talk. I would have not brought it to the show. Not that I'm hiding anything, but I would have done what they do where it's like, I know something that you did, but like, I'm not going to say it, but like, I know what you did, but it's too much, but I know what you know, like something like that, or just like, just not mess with her or anything, but I would have just sort of owned my own narrative and my own story. And I would not have come in hot and I wouldn't have brought the specific of her mother brought my name to this. I would have just said her did something, whatever. It's a family issue. I'm going to leave it there. And then I would have kept it pushing and I would have been cute and done my thing, made friends with people, kept Wendy at arm's length, kept Ashley at arm's length. But I would have owned my own story. Where now Nneka's story is very muddled with going against a Nigerian and blah, 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 and all that other bull crap that really doesn't even matter because it had nothing to do with them being Nigerian. It had nothing to do with them being Black. It was just a bunch of messy women gossiping. And so it got all muddled and everything. Now, her and her husband, they seem really sweet and cute, but it seems like they were long distance and then got married. Because isn't he like a traveling doctor or something? And they hadn't like really lived together. And then she had her like wedding gifts from like years ago that she had like never opened. I don't know. It just seemed like they were like long distance and they got married, but then they were still kind of long distance with traveling. I don't know. It was kind of weird. She's sharing her like pregnancy journey, IVF or IVI and things like that. So hopefully that'll work, you know, prayers up, she'll get pregnant and everything. So that's really cute, but I feel like she got muddled in this whole thing because she didn't know how to play the game. I don't think Nneka's mean. I think she seems actually like a really sweet person. I think she got, which is different than how I feel about Anna Marie. Where I think Anna Marie and Nneka are the same is that they were thrown into the situation new and they became the mouthpieces of people and they were fighting somebody else's battle that they never should have been fighting. Where I think they're different is I don't connect with Anna Marie's personality. I think she's weird. There's a tick, something's off. With Nneka, I actually think she's really cool. I think she's funny. I think she's pretty. I think she's sweet, down to earth, seems like a really normal, nice person who got caught up in something. That's kind of where I land with that. But I don't think she gave enough for me to care whether she comes back or not because she put too much energy in the fight with Wendy versus establishing her own personality onto the show. That's just kind of where I land on that one. So overall, I think RoHop could do a reboot pause. I think everybody could be fired except for Karen. And I don't need Charisse on my screen ever again. I don't know what they're doing with that one. No to Charisse. And I think maybe we could do a pause and a reboot because the last solid 3 seasons of RoHop have been downhill, 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 harder and harder and harder to watch. You know? So, yeah, it's not good. Chelsea says at the end of the day, they both flopped. Yeah, I agree. I think Nneka and Anna Marie both flopped. They flopped for the same foundational reason. They did not establish their own personality outside of a fight that was never theirs. But I do connect with Nneka more than I connect with Anne Marie, but not enough to care if she comes back or not, you know? So yeah, I think they should do a pause and a reboot, keep Karen as the anchor, and recast everybody else. So you guys, with that, I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up and chat. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Woof! All right, you guys. Let's see. All right, let's do some of your Candy questions and comments. Dun, 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 dun.